Hello guys, hope you're doing good. So in today's video, we're taking a look at the Worktuff Gear Mountain Man. Alright, so let's look at the specs of that knife. So overall, the length is 17.4 inches, whereas the blade is 11.7 inches with a cutting edge of 11 inches. If we look at the thickness of the stock, it's 7.5 millimeters or 0.287 inches. So it's a pretty big knife, pretty hefty knife, coming in at 38 ounces. So the steel used on the Gen 2 Mountain Man is K329 steel with an HRC of 58 to 60. So the blade has a saber grind with a secondary convex here and has a drop point design with a finger choil here to choke up on the blade. So if we look at the handles, this time we went with some G10. On the back here, you have a recessed lanyard hole for your paracord lanyard. That's essential for a big chopper. So to help with retention, the pommel is flared. This really helps to keep the knife in the hand while chopping. So in order to make the knife more comfortable when choking up, here we chamfered these radiuses here so it doesn't bite in the finger. And same thing for the thumb ram on top, it's been chamfered as well. So this knife has been used heavily, but let's see how good it is at slicing. No problem. All right, so let's see how it does at cutting tasks. Here we got some regular paracord. Easy, no problem at all. Here we got some natural cordage, some sizzle rope. It's very fibery. No problem. And here's some synthetic nylon rope. Okay, no problem. All right, so let's compare the first generation to the second generation Mountain Man and look at the differences. All right, so the main differences between these two knives is the steel. The first generation uses SK85 steel, which is much more prone to rusting. The second generation uses K329 steel, somewhat stain resistant. At the same time, it also had a better edge holding. So we also did a few other functional changes to the design to make it even more capable. So as you can see with the first generation of the Mountain Man, the front grind comes further back than the second generation. So this helps to have a more weight forward feel. This definitely helps with chopping. So we also did a few changes with the handle, mostly in front of the handle. So as you can see here, this finger guard is much wider on the first generation. That wasn't very useful, so we made it less wide. At the same time, we increased the thickness of this portion here and changed the radius here because this pocket was a bit too small if you're wearing gloves in winter, so that you have a bigger pocket here. So it's not gonna pinch or hurt as much, and it's gonna be more accessible. So those are changes that really help with the ergonomics of this knife. So one thing to note, because of that, the first generation handles don't fit on the second generation Mountain Man and vice versa. So overall, I feel that the second generation Mountain Man is a great improvement over the first generation. So the steel is much better, the handle's more comfortable, and it chops even better. All right, so let's do some more serious testing. So I've used the Gen 2 Mountain Man extensively to split some wood. I use it to baton. It goes through hardwood, softwood very easily. Because of the geometry and the thickness of the blade, it's great at batoning. Despite being a very large knife, the Mountain Man also excels at finer tasks like preparing feather sticks. I feel that the combination of a high ground and the convex edge provides a very excellent geometry that allows you to make some very thin curls that you could light with a ferro rod. So when you choke up with a finger choil, the balance is more neutral, making it more easy for finer tasks like carving, for example. An important feature on a bushcraft and outdoors knife is to have a sharp 90-degree spine, and the spine on the Mountain Man is definitely sharp. I went on to test the tip of the knife on this log here. As you can see, it penetrates deep in the wood with absolutely no damage to the knife whatsoever. But obviously the area where the Mountain Man really shines is chopping. So definitely you can use it to chop branches off trees, often with one single swipe. It'll chop mid-sized branches very easily. It's really a joy to use it in that function. So I took it out after a storm to cut down some trees that have fallen on the trail. It really helps to speed up the work. You don't have to fire up the chainsaw, just use your knife to chop down the trees. I find it's way more efficient that way. The knife is very easy to carry. I use the Mountain Man Gen 2 a lot, done a lot of chopping with it, chopped some softwood, some hardwood, all sorts of wood in the forest. The reality is it performs extremely well, stays very sharp, significantly longer than SK85 steel, and the grips are very positive. I never had the feeling that the knife would fall out of my grip, so that's one feature that's super important in a chopper. So I've been using the Gen 2 Mountain Man for a while now. I've been using it for chopping, splitting, all sorts of tasks, and it performs extremely well. I find that these handles are very comfortable. You can choke up and do some finer tasks very easily. You can use it in the regular grip, and it's very comfortable because of these ergonomic grips. Or you can choke up and back here, and for some power cuts, and the grip is very positive that way. It's not going to get out of your hand. So this is an excellent, very large bushcraft outdoors knife, a big chopper. So if you're interested, they're dropping on the Worktuff Gear website on the 1st of October. I've added the link in the description section of the video. All right, guys, thanks for watching.